Amira Balkis. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. We truly appreciate your willingness to share your experiences and also your insights with us in regards to the curriculum development in Malaysia. My name is Carolyn, and together with me, my team members, Mr. Rahimi and Miss Norainu Batnabila, Bella, um, we are currently conducting this interview as part of our curriculum development studies assignment. The purpose of this interview is to learn about curriculum implementation in schools, particularly in areas such as technology, educational equity, and also the future of education when it comes to the advancements of AI in education. Before we begin, we would like to express our sincere gratitude for your time and valuable contributions for this interview. And if you are ready, let's begin with a few introductory questions. I will hand over to Miss Bella.
Assalamualaikum. Hi, Cikgu. I'm Bella. Okay. To begin, we would like to know a little more about you. Could you please tell us about yourself, your teaching background, and your journey as an educator?
So my name is Balkis Amira binti Mama Mokhtar. So I start my journey in teaching in 2019. So in 2019 at SMK Suri Kembangan lah up until now. So up until now, 2019 to 2026 in Suri Kembangan. So basically my first posting until now at Suri Kembangan lah, SMK Suri Kembangan. So it's already 8 years at the same school. My background in teaching, first I teach English. Basically not my major lah. My major is Science Pertanian, Agriculture Science, minor Geography. So at 2020, later I get my option, which is Geography and RBT, because that school we doesn't have Agriculture Science. So I need to teach RBT, Reka Bentuk Teknologi. So through 8 years, a few subjects I have been teaching Bahasa English, PJ, PSB, and now 2 subjects, RBT and Geography. So I teach lower form, which is form 1 and form 2. Last year, I teach Alihan Bahasa Melayu for peralihan. So basically last year, only 1 year lah, I teach peralihan for ABM, Alihan Bahasa Melayu, and then this year back to my major lah, RBT and Geography. So basically 3 level lah, peralihan, form 1 and form 2.
Thank you for sharing your experience with us. It is always interesting to hear about the different path educators take in their teaching careers. Since education today is becoming increasingly connected with technology, we would like to move into our first discussion area regarding the technology, integration, and digital learning. I will pass the next question to Rahimi.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rahimi. Let's begin to my first question, Cikgu Balkis. What are your thoughts on the current curriculum design in integrating the use of technology in the classroom? Do you think technology is being implemented in a meaningful way to encourage critical thinking, collaboration, and creativity? Or is it mostly being used for presentation and educational videos? Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question. So in this term for the technology and AI, okay, I believe Ministry of Education is moving forward for it because next year, 2027, we have a new curriculum for RBT, which is integrated with AI and coding. So in RBT, there's so much about AI and technology. For this current syllabus also, we have Reka Bentuk Electronic, which is we merge coding, Arduino, for students to have background to coding. But okay, in SMK public school, we specifically say public school, we doesn't have enough source to implement the syllabus. The syllabus itself is very good. Okay, we have the coding, we have all integrated with AI, Gemini, and so on. We teach it ourselves. Recently, do like Google Educator 1, Google Educator 2, Gemini, and so on. But it is on the paper, not truly implemented on the school. Because you see, in Severi Kembangan, we have 3,000 students. And computer science lab, we have only 1. So how is it we want to implement this kind of AI, this kind of integrated IT and everything that included computer science, we cannot deliver it very well. So Imagine in the class, we have 40 students, 40 student maximum. So average in the class, we have 38 to 35 students. So that what we call as we have very limit resources to do it. But the syllabus itself is, you see, very good lah, very good for the student. So Ministry of Education is moving forward to that and merge with the current situation lah, which is AI, coding, and so on. But in the school, public school, we talk about 40 students, 38 students. So basically, on the field, it's not fulfilled very well.
Mm.
So also we doesn't talk about the language barrier. Language barrier also one of the challenge lah for us to deliver it. So in my experience for this technology in school, it's good on the paper, good on the textbook, but in implementation on the field itself, it's not really good lah. Okay.
Okay, thank you for the insightful perspective. It's encouraging to hear how technology can be used beyond simple content delivery to support more active and meaningful learning experiences. Thank you, Teacher Balkis, for the sharing.
Yes.
Let's move to another.
Yes. Building on that point, we'd like to explore the role of teacher in digital learning. In your opinion, how prepared are teachers to implement digital learning in the classroom? What are the challenges that teachers may face? Is it readiness, such as training, experience, time constraints, or access to technology? Would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Okay, in general, I believe teachers feel more readiness, especially during the COVID pandemic. During the COVID pandemic, we need to conduct the classroom online session. From that, we teachers are forced to develop the skills because we need to cater the student that want to study online. We use mostly in Google Classroom, Google Meet. Okay, so in terms of readiness of teacher, I believe we much more ready. In fact, if you ask teacher, they know what is Google Classroom. They know how to generate link, Google Meet, in Google Meet. So in terms of readiness of teacher to implement digital learning, should be no problem because we learn it from the pandemic, COVID-19. Even though student doesn't go to school, we need to conduct class within Google Classroom. Okay, so that's we talk about basic. The teacher that is much more older, they also know. But the teacher that is much more younger, from my observation, they are willing to go to course to take like Apple Learning, Apple Educator, Google Educator. Also in-house training for the school. In-house training also we have, because in school we have ladap. Ladap means like training inside school lah. So training inside school ni, we are exposed to the Google Learning, how to use Google Learning, how to use Pear Deck, how to use PowerPoint, how to generate quizzes. In fact, in my school up until now, we also use when SPM session come, because not all students can come to school, because our student that take SPM every year almost 700 for the batch SPM student. So we use the whole building. When we use whole building, so it will rotate lah. Form 1 we go to school, Form 2 or Form 3 we rest at home. So we as a teacher need to give some materials or need to conduct Google Classroom, because our school cannot provide a classroom to all students when SPM session coming. So in fact, until now, our school still use this kind of platform. So in terms of readiness, I think teacher is much more ready lah for this. Time constraint or access appropriate technology also we have. From time to time, Ministry of Education also give our in-house training lah. Like I say recently, we have Google training for educator level 1, level 2, and in Selangor we are compulsory to do it. Compared to my mom in Perak, JPM Perak, Jabatan Pelajaran Negeri Perak, they have some leniency lah not to do it. But in we teacher in Selangor, everything we must do. Okay, alright, that's all.
Oh, it's interesting to know. Thank you for sharing those observations with me and my teammates. It's understandable that while teachers have become more comfortable with technology, balancing professional responsibilities, with continuous learning, and it can still be challenging in some ways. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Let's move to another question. The topic is on rural-urban educational gap. Like you said just now, insufficient facilities not only happens in rural areas, but also happen in your school in urban area, right? Okay. My question is, what are your observations on how the curriculum is implemented in rural and urban schools? For example, do resources, facilities, student needs, or learning opportunities differ in ways that affect how the curriculum is delivered?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so from what I have observed, there are significant difference in terms of number of resources and opportunities for learning in rural versus urban school. Okay, this thing, rural and urban school, okay, we have a gap lah, from my observation. Okay, especially, okay, we have social background also very different at the rural and urban. So basically, we cannot say rural school experience limitation. Okay, not all. Okay, urban school also experience limitation. Okay, to teachers' ability to provide adequate learning. Okay, in terms of Wi-Fi and so on, resources. Okay, maybe we have a huge difference lah, especially for Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, my colleague at Sabah and Sarawak also have a limitation on delivered the subject, especially in digital lah, because of the Wi-Fi connection and so on lah, reliable access to internet. Okay, so this one have a huge difference lah in our education system, which is can that which is cannot be fixed. I think it's like when the rural area at orang asli, kampung orang asli, Sabah Sarawak, which is a very deep, going deep. Cannot. We don't say internet. Internet access internet. When it comes to rural area, even the electricity also have a limitation. Okay, for example, my colleague at Kudat, Pulau Banggi. If you know lah, Pulau Banggi, Kudat. It's a very rural area at the pulau, at the island itself. They have electricity at the afternoon only, morning until evening, and then the electricity cut down after the dawn. At the night, they doesn't have any electricity. So that's some of the limited resources lah to have there. Then we talk about computer devices and so on. Also, they also doesn't have adequate number of computer and devices compared to urban school. But in term of Selangor itself also, we have that limitation also. For example, my school lah, SMK Seri Kembangan. Okay, we have only like 10 to 20 computers compared to 3,000 students. Is it logic for you? So, for me myself, urban or suburban, just the difference is Wi-Fi. In term of Wi-Fi, internet, in term of electricity, yes, we can compare. But in term of infrastructure, in term of devices, I think there's no huge difference lah. There's no huge difference. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Bakis. Actually, I am from Sarawak, Cikgu. Those things memang happen lah. Those things really happens in rural area in here lah. Thank you for sharing those observations. Is it clear that differences? It is clear that differences in resources and learning environments can influence how teaching and learning take place in school. Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, we move to the next question. Considering these challenges, what kind of support of change do you think are needed to reduce the rural-urban gap in curriculum implementation?
Okay, thank you for the interesting questions. For this, I'd like to highlight about the resources, utilities, and also accessibility for the digital tools. Okay, for this one, we at the public school, of course, we know our students are not all rich. Okay, they come from background that is kind of not supported, for family not supported, they need to work. So actually at public school is Ministry of Education, which is our government lah. Our government to take a role to improve the infrastructure itself. So to make our educational system good, to make the things that curriculum Ministry of Education have designed for us, everything, me myself as a teacher need to improve on infrastructure. The classroom, okay, the lab, and so on, need to have enough utilities, need to have enough laptop and PC at school. So for me, no matter how good the curriculum the country itself have, but it's come to the infrastructure, uh, and it's come to utilities, if we don't upgrade, then we still have a lot of things to be ke belakang lah. Because when we have limited resources, so we also have limited of knowledge to give to our students. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you for those two suggestions. The ideas of improving infrastructure, supporting teachers, and allowing flexibility in implementation certainly seems important for ensuring that all students have access to quality education. Speaking of changes in education, another major development shaping classrooms today is the growing presence of artificial intelligence or AI. And then next I will pass to Rahimi.
Okay, thank you, Bella. We move to the next topics, artificial intelligence or AI in education. My question is, looking at the growing use of AI in schools, what positive changes do you think it could bring to teaching and learning? At the same time, are there any challenges or risks that teachers, students, or school may need to address? Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, for the artificial intelligence, of course, it's greatly benefit education. Because of what we teacher also use artificial intelligence a lot in Gemini, in ChatGPT. When it's come to, we can shorten the amount of time to spend develop their lessons plan at RPH. Okay, so from 30 minutes we can less to 10 minutes to 20 minutes in terms of using in RPH. Okay, also it's very good in brainstorming new activity. It means like the traditional way, talk and talk. Maybe our generation of student is boring, so when we use AI brainstorming, and then we put some comical way in teaching, also it can make the student feel happy inside the class. Okay, and also developing the quizzes, like I say, we use quizzes, we use Kahoot and so on, also from the AI. So basically AI give a very huge impact us as a teacher. Okay.
Okay, thank you, teacher, for your sharing about perspective. AI certainly offers exciting possibilities, but as you mentioned, it also requires responsible and thoughtful use. I pass to Kevin.
Continuing on the topic of AI, we'd like to discuss its importance on students' assessment. So, when it comes to assessment, with most students using AI tools to support their learning, and how do you think this trend affects teachers' ability to assess students fairly and accurately? Are there concerns about originality, academic integrity, or ensuring that students are genuinely, demonstrating their understanding in assignments or homeworks, or yeah?
Okay, thank you for the question. Of course, we concerned of the originality of student works. Okay, we as a teacher, we know whether they copy right from ChatGPT, or they like change something or not. So we as a teacher, we know. So for the integrity, we concern about that, especially for English essay. Okay, of course we concern, and when we praise the student do ChatGPT and then they not change anything, so we advise them not to do that again. So because it's not appropriate to do that. So a big concern also for us as a teacher in terms of AI using or ChatGPT using on student work lah and homework.
Yeah. Thank you for those valuable insights. It is not easy, I believe, being a teacher in this current AI students using AI as well. It's interesting to consider how assessments method may need to evolve alongside technology advancements while still maintaining academic integrity. Thank you so much, Cikgu Amira Balkis, for your thoughtful responses and sharing your valuable experiences with us today. On behalf of myself, Cik Bella and Mr. Rahimi, we would like to express our sincere appreciation for your time and effort you have dedicated for this interview. Your insights have given us a much deeper understanding of curriculum implementation, technology integration, and also educational equity, and the future direction of education in Malaysia. So, Bella, you want to say something?
Yeah, I also appreciate your willingness to contribute to our learning and research today. We wish you continued success in your teaching career and all the best in your future.
Yes, thank you, teacher. Really appreciate for your time.
Okay, thank you
All the
also
best,
for
teacher.
All right, all the best to you.
Thank
also.